Welcome to another episode of What Works for Me, a podcast highlighting best practices in Christian schools. This podcast is produced in partnership with Lutheran Education Association. To discover how LEA supports Christian teachers and schools, visit www.lea.org. My name is Mike Sheeman, principal of Bethany Lutheran School in Parma, Ohio.
And my name is Rob Lunak. I'm the superintendent of Lutheran Neighborhood Schools in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And today we are going to talk about the one thing that keeps the school running and keeps the world turning. and that is school secretary, administrative assistant, face of the school, whatever you want to put on title for that role. That's exactly what it is. And I am in a position where I'm not fortunate enough to work with someone in that capacity right now, but Mike, you still are, and we're going to be interviewing someone from your school. Do you want to introduce her?
I sure do. Yeah, this is a fun one because there's so many different facets of Lutheran school ministry, and every single position is a ministry position. And I am beyond blessed to serve with somebody who really has that vision and knows how to serve Jesus by serving kids. So my administrative assistant, her name is Stacy Montagu, and Stacy is joining us on the podcast. Stacy, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And do you want to tell us just a little bit about how long have you been at Bethany? Maybe a little bit about your role here, and maybe even your role prior to admin assistant, how you came into the role.
Okay. I've been a member at Bethany for about 12 years. Before I started in the administrative role, I ran the school PTL. My son was a student here from preschool all the way through 8th grade. So I started in that role, got to know a lot of families, students, all the different aspects of the school. And when the time came for our school secretary to retire, she actually reached out to me and said, "Have you ever thought about?" And I was like, "I haven't, but let me pray about it and let's see where God leads me." And sure enough, here I am.
Yep, that's awesome. And that's kind of a fun thing too, is that leaders, when you get to know your school community, one of your biggest assets are your parents. And if you have somebody who really advocates for the school, who's always there, who is just a real blessing, what a great pool of people to look for roles that are going to represent the school. So Stacy, you were a parent, chair of the PTL, obviously identified as somebody who would be great for the role. So then you started and you dove right in. You want to talk maybe a little bit about the evolution of that. So for you, when you got here to where you are today, because you also had to navigate through our favorite COVID years, right?
Correct. Yes.
Favorite.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I use that word loosely.
Yeah. So when I first came, I wasn't really familiar. We have a lot of government programs here in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So Ed Choice being one of the big ones. But which I love. I mean, sometimes it's a lot of hoops and a lot of learning, and it's constantly ongoing of things changing. But that is one of the things when I started, I really enjoyed. I know it sounds crazy, but I love it. And I love it because it's great for families. It helps them provide a good Lutheran education at a low cost or no cost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for those who are listening, Ed Choice is our government funding program here in Ohio, and we are blessed. But man, the logistics of that thing are a beast. So Stacy has all the forms and everything that she needs to figure out, and she's somebody who's gone to the next level, who hasn't just figured out the forms, but has figured out the systems to make things easier to run in our school, which is what a wonderful administrative assistant would do. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely need somebody who's going to take ownership of that, because Stacy, you're running the office, and I know as principals we like to think that we come in and we make big changes, and we are the ones that put things in order, but that is not the case. Without a good school office, everything becomes a little harder. Any of those days, thinking back, like if the secretary was sick and we didn't have a sub that day for her, and I jump into that position, that is not a position I'm spiritually equipped for. That is not where my gifts lie. So I'm so thankful for people like you that enjoy that work and want to take ownership of that work. Now, Mike was saying before we started recording that you've taken it upon yourself to even learn extra things kind of outside of your realm, just so you're better equipped to answer questions from parents and things like that. Can you tell me about that?
I really love to learn, to keep learning, professional development. I'm always looking for what can I learn to answer questions for parents, to help Mike out, help the teachers out. So I currently just took one on the food program, the federal funded food program, which was a 9 hour class. And, everybody would say, how did you sit through that? But I have to tell you that it was pretty interesting to me because now the part that I do in the food program, it all makes sense. It makes it easier.
Yeah, I would say a really good administrative assistant knows who's in charge of certain things and knows
Mhm.
where to get answers. The great admin assistant that I have has said, yeah, I know that, but if I learn myself, I can provide another level of customer service and try to answer some of those things kind of as they walk in through the door. So that's one thing I think I would encourage any administrator to think about is we do a really good job of providing professional development for our teachers. That's just one area of ministry. So how are we equipping and developing people who serve in other roles like your admin assistant? And I know Stacy's pretty excited for something coming up in February. Do you want to talk a little bit about you're giving some time here to go and do something big?
Yes. And I've never done anything like this in my career in an office or I'm actually going to the best practice conference in Arizona, which I'm really excited. It looks like there's a ton of different sessions that I will really enjoy. So I'm excited to learn more.
That's great that you get to go to that and that you want to go to that. I would always try to take our school secretary or our admin assistant to big conferences if the whole school was going. I'm like, hey, do you want to go to LEA, or hey, do you want to go to the teachers conference in the Dells? It's a day in the Dells, right? That's always fun.
Yeah.
Just because you're such a vital part of the school community. And Mike's right. Some of the time when we think of professional development, that's not where our brain goes all the time. We think, oh, well, they don't need classroom hours, or they don't need contact hours, or whatever it is in your state for regulation. There's not really those rules. So what would you say to somebody? You came into this, somebody kind of handpicked you for this position because of how involved you were. What would you say to somebody who's just getting started in this role? They're brand new to the office and they're trying to make it their own and do the best with it they can do. What advice would you give them starting out?
Learn as much as you can to help support the principal and your parents and teachers. They're busy. There's a lot going on, and I think if you can take the time and do the professional development to get answers that you'll have ready when the questions are asked, makes the office to me go more smoothly.
That's great
Yeah.
advice. Thank you.
Yeah, that is good advice, and it's something that I know that you model all the time. And Stacey, I'm going to extend this a little bit because your role, I think, goes far beyond any kind of a job description. I mean, of course, there's the typical job description, but I think the one that you probably spend the most time in is the other duties as assigned, right? As we all know, is in the job description. Um, can you talk about your perception, your view on how your role ties in with the marketing role for a school when it comes to recruitment and retention of students? Because I believe you play a big part in that, and I know you believe that too. So can you talk a little bit about that?
I would say I'm usually the first one to talk to the parents.
Mhm.
So if I could engage in a conversation with parents, then I could direct them to Lauren, but I could give a little of the information of what our school is about and even a little bit about tuition because I do the fax billing. And I could get some of those questions out of the way before I send them to admissions.
Mhm.
And then they can set up their tour
Mhm.
and interviews.
Right. And so, yeah, Lauren's our admissions and marketing director here who does all of the tours. And so you're right. So you get the phone call or you get the walk-in
Mhm.
and you are the face of the school right off the hop. So it's that you're the first impression that our parents get, prospective parents get. But I know from conversations we've had that you've taken some pretty crazy phone calls. Parents that ask the silliest questions or
Yeah.
have the craziest requests. I'm even going to go so far as to say we have our police department installed a speeding camera outside of our school, and you get how many phone calls about people asking
Oh,
to have us
tons.
take their tickets away, right?
Tons. Yes.
And so even in the crazies, that I'll just label them that way, what is your role for representing the school, even to the crazy people that sometimes
Yeah.
call? And I don't know if I'm calling them crazy and you're one of the people that have called and you're listening to this podcast, I apologize, but we kind of know what I'm getting at, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think even, even when I get the phone calls for the tickets,
Mhm.
I feel like you always have to be kind, right? Because that that's what Bethany is. That's what we stand for. So I've had many conversations with these people, and you just start to talk to them. And I even had one time someone that came for a tour and she's like, I called you for a ticket. And I was like, yes, and she's like, you were so nice. You didn't hang up on me so I think that's important no matter where we're at,
Mhm.
that we always are kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
people
such
know we work for a ministry.
that's such great advice because you're not always getting people at their best some of the time,
Right.
right? You
Yeah.
are the first person to answer the phone when somebody is mad. You're kind of the
Right.
switchboard, right? So if somebody's upset about something, they have to go through you first. And I've been fortunate enough to work with some great administrative assistants who've taken it upon themselves to like calm parents down, take the
Mhm.
edge off before they send them my way, or put them on hold and come in to me and be like, "Hey, this conversation is going to be really crazy. Do you want me to come back in 5 minutes and say there's an emergency?" I'm like, "That's a great idea."
Right.
Right?
Right.
And I love that mindset that you recognize that for the majority of the parents, you might be the one adult they interact with, and just to be kind and show them that Christ's love through the school. That's so great.
And I think too, when you talk to these parents and they know you listen to them, even when they're angry, there's a lot of times I don't even have to get Mike, just by talking to them, having a conversation, I can help them with the problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they feel comfortable with me, and that's what we want. We want our families to be able to talk to us.
Mhm.
Now, we've talked about your role with the families, but I think based on just where you sit, and in general, I think where any administrative assistant or secretary would sit, you hear a lot. And the staff come to you, and sometimes they just need an ear to bend.
Sure.
Do you want to talk a little bit about how you listen to the staff, how you support the staff, and then maybe how you even support me by kind of sharing, hey, listen, maybe go check in with this person, or some of those things on how you support the staff?
Yes, I think you always have to listen.
Mhm.
I think the staff, they know the principal is busy. So when situations come up or occur and Mike's handling something else, I try to listen and see how I could help them, that they're able to go back to their class, but I could come to Mike and say, hey, this is happening in this classroom. This person's having this situation, and kind of give them a heads up. And it kind of helps the teacher out that they don't have to look for Mike or send an email.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've done things too where you even told me from time to time, hey, this person's having a bit of a rough day. I don't know what's going on, but you might want to go check in with them. And that's been gold, pure gold for me. Because, sometimes I don't get that
Right,
opportunity to
right.
see it firsthand. Right.
Because you're busy.
Right. And can you talk a little bit too? I'm going to throw you a softball here. This will be an easy one for you to talk about because you love doing this. Tell a little bit about how you have done the treats for the staff and how you kind of
Oh,
put a
yeah.
smile on their
Yes.
face.
So I love to bake. That's my stress relief. I'm a baker. So I started probably last year. Usually I bake on a Sunday, and so every Monday I bring a treat for the staff.
Mhm.
And it just makes me feel so good that I could give them something that makes them happy in that moment. Like somebody's thinking of them and want to make something special for them. We do I order snacks. So there's always something in there for them to grab. You know, if they're having a rough day, I need a candy bar today. Well, it's back there. Go get yourself one.
Mhm.
You know, so I think that's important, to just show them that, you know, hey, we care and we
Yeah.
want to give you something special throughout the day to get you through your day.
Yeah. And as an administrator, I encourage anybody listening, listen to your admin assistant when they speak. Stacy has offered so many different suggestions too of how to make the office more efficient, aesthetically, how to make it more inviting. And I listen every time she talks because our office is a different place because of the work that she's done.
Yeah, that's a really important point. You as principal, right, Mike, you don't know everything that's going on everywhere, and you've defaulted to the people who actually spend the time there, right? So you could go and redesign the front office, but you don't spend your time in the front office, so that wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Stacy, what would you say? We always talk about like what's the future of the position look like. So what are some things that you would like to add to your role? Or I'm not saying like, oh, you're going to take on all the extra responsibilities and make Mike obsolete. Although, I mean, maybe you want to. I don't know.
Sure.
No,
like-
I'm good with that.
You've talked so much about supporting people and caring for people. Is there anything else you want to do with that you just haven't been able to do yet?
You know, I guess I want to keep growing, and I've talked to Mike about that. I want to continue with professional development. Our school is starting to grow. My role may go in a different direction. Yeah, I mean, I would like to see where God leads us.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, and I hope that just somebody listening is inspired by this. Like Stacy is one of the biggest blessings to us here at Bethany, and it's not something that, you know, I'm sure people wish they could clone you and have you in their schools, but what I encourage any administrator to do is make sure vital positions like this, make sure you find the right person, and you want to have somebody with the passion that you've heard from Stacy today. Stacy fully understands our mission statement here at Bethany, and she works to bring that mission statement to life. We talk about here, love Jesus, love learning, love others, and she hits the mark on all three. One last thing I think I want to bring up just before we bring this to a close. We talked about professional development, but one of the things that I think there needs to be a proficiency on here is the use of computers, computer programs, and maybe just beyond specific training in like Microsoft, you need that outlook. So Stacy, can you talk a little bit briefly about how you have learned various forms of computer programs and how you continue to grow in that area?
When I first started, Excel was a challenge, and I was like, oh, I can't stand this program. I love it now. Like, I use it for everything.
Mm-hmm.
I make charts for anything that, you know, we have to spend money or different programs. So I think that is important to keep learning. You know, everybody can know the basics, but there's so much more to do with these programs. Even things like the school newsletter, we had a real basic one for years, and I was like, I want to change this. So I asked Mike, and he's like, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had a lot of fun with that on Canva, and just I love doing the graphics and all that fun stuff. So
yeah,
I just think you have to keep being willing to learn. There's a lot to learn on all these programs.
That's great to hear. And that's probably that's a great skill that you have, and that's probably helped you a ton and will continue to help you a ton. That's if there's anyone listening and you don't enjoy learning about the new things in your role, well, you gotta. And so take some of Stacy's advice and definitely learn from that.
I also think one more thing, if you can chat with these companies, a lot of the learning you could do on your own.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think just keep looking,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Take that initiative.
Yeah,
right?
and just try to find the information to help you complete the task.
Well, Stacy, if you ever want to move to Wisconsin, let me know.
No,
I'm good.
Stacy, it's been great to have you on today. Can I pray for you guys before we go?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd be great.
Dear Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for Stacy and for the work she does at Bethany. Thank you for her outlook, her perspective, her love, her care and concern for the people she serves and works with. Please bless her work and allow her to continue to be an instrument of your good grace to those that she meets. In your son's name we pray. Amen.